Good morning, NTV viewers. We are coming to you live from Buziga. The events that transpired in Kawempe North by-elections last week are still fresh to some of the minds that were victims of the circumstances that took place in Kawempe. Today we are going to speak to the MP, Member of Parliament for Bukoma Nsimbi South, Honorable Geoffrey Kayemba Solo, who was one of the victims that allegedly was tortured by the security agents, and he was picked from Kazoa, Angola. So we want to talk to him, tell us the experiences, what happened, what next, and what he's expecting in the coming elections of general elections in 2026. Honorable, you are an agent in Kawempe North by-elections.
I was an observer.
An observer.
Yeah.
It is said you were picked by security agents on Thursday last week. What happened to you? What were the events before and during the time you were arrested?
First of all, let me greet the viewers at my morning at NTV. I thank you for watching, and I thank the NTV management for giving us this time to share what happened and transpired on Thursday in Kawempe. I was fully accredited by Electoral Commission to be an observer in Kazoa, Angola parish on behalf of my party, NUP. So it went on well. We went early in the morning at around 5. We were already there. Though we found the coasters that had brought goons, I don't know from where, but we are ready to handle in a calm way. So I got my boys. I briefed them of what was going to happen, and I told them not to be emotional, charged. Let us get the way in a very calm manner so that we can reach the target we had that day. So after a pickup came also full of goons, and they were being given directives by people in the uniform, in the army uniform. So when we saw such situations happening, we are curious. But again, we handled the issue in a very calm way. So elections started, though late, because here and there the system wasn't working. Here we were waiting for the DR forms and other things. But again, we kept calmness to make sure that nothing transpires the army people, all the security people, to start chaos, all the goons they had brought. And it went on well. We started calmly. Honorable Fortunate Nantong was one of the polling agents at one polling station. So we started off with my brother Hilary Chiaga. We started. The process went on well in the morning at time. So around 9:30, the Secretary General called me. There's a polling station called Mateo in Rugoba. So I had got rumors that something was going to happen there, some drama, some rubbish activity. So we went there to make sure that everything is fine. So that was manned by the Deputy Mayor Nansana and the Mayor Nansana, Madam Bachite. So we found the situation was also okay. We passed around and we saw, though there was a lot of tension, but the situation was still calm. So after there, we came back. As we are heading back to Kazoa, Angola, because when I was doing my senior 6 in Apia was wise, I used to stay in Kazoa, Angola. So I was in a place I was very good familiar with. So as we are going down, when we were about to reach the polling station, there was a parking of my college. So I said, no, let me park my car here. Actually, I even left the keys there. But in case someone wants to move away, we just turn the car. So I was with Chiaga, we are in the same car. So we got out. We were walking down to the polling station in a very calm way. We saw army people like 40 coming, others in layer putting on masks and holding big sticks. We thought maybe they were patrolling around. So we moved on. We said maybe the security will help us reduce the tension that is here. Unfortunately, as we were passing, they grabbed us. We just had the Swahili word, "Kamata hiyo." They kamata us. So after kamata us, they took us in a very humiliating way. They lifted me up. I told them I'm a member of Parliament. They said, we know, but you have to get out of here now. You are under arrest. I told them that's not how they arrest people. But at that time, I had no way we could have such a dialogue. So they hold me, they hold my brother Chiaga. As I was going to the drone, I saw a brother. He's one of the news people I know. So I threw my phones to him. But you keep them. And they told me that became a trouble to him later. He got strokes for that. He's called Waso Hassan. So we entered the drone. My brother. Reaching the drone, they got a t-shirt. And it was a yellow t-shirt, I remember. They tied it all over the face. from here. Actually, the whole head was covered. We couldn't see. They put us down. My brother Chaga was put down. You know the taxis. So in the middle, it's a very narrow place like this. Chaga was made to sleep down, and they told me to sleep on top of him. So he was looking down, I was looking up. You don't know what happened. They started caning us like we had stolen something, beating us everywhere, speaking words that I would say were not necessary at that time. I was beaten in the head. Actually, at some moments, a man would come and touch on my hair and would say, this head has good meat. And they hit. They hit me in the shoulders. They hit me in the ribs here. This hand, which is holding the microphone, it wouldn't even do like this. They would hit it any time they wanted. They got pliers. They started peeling my stomach here and other parts, have damages of the pliers. So they did everything I would say they wanted. After like 8 hours in the drone, they changed. But we are hearing them. They would walk. We are going to now to Chirokole. We are going to Chiganda zone, trying to pick or intimidate other people. So in that process, they brought my brother Walukaga, who was crying like a chicken. Because when Walukaga came, at least now we knew that now we have got a third comrade that we know. But the way he was crying, we knew that now what's going to happen to us. If this old man who's older than us is crying like a chicken, now what will happen to us? So they changed the drone. They got us, but still covered. You couldn't see anything. They got us. Every activity they would do, it would be accompanied by extensive torture. That's what I can tell you. And they would tell us, we know, after here we're going to go in Parliament and speak about this, but speak what we have done to you. Let us do them to you so that you can get what to speak there. Which was uncalled for. We are not criminals. We hadn't done any crime that day. It was just us exercising our role as citizens of Uganda, and we are fully accredited by the Electoral Commission.
Did you spend the entire time in the drones, or you were later transferred to a police cell?
After 8 hours in one drone, because they would even park in the sunshine and they get out. Remember, you were covered, you can't breathe well, and it was too hot. So all that was torture, I can say. They transferred us into another drone. Now the first drone had some chairs. Now they transferred into another drone that had no chairs and would sleep down, just down on the body of the car of the drone. And the torture we found there was also extremely more than what we got in the first drone. That's where we found Mayor Mutebi and the rest, my brother. Those men were like hungry lions that had got something to eat. They would count us, beating us at the head. If another one counts 10 when you had counted 1, when it would be 9, then they come back to you. Again, hitting the head high as you count 1, 2, 3. So that's the way they treated us. After, they took us they drove us somewhere. And they...
Honorable, nga muvudde mu drone oba ekiro kyo wabudde bonna mwamala mu drone mpaka kubata?
No. They took us into a safe house in Kawempe, in somewhere. It wasn't Kawempe, I'm sure, but they took us somewhere and dropped us into a safe, which I call a torture chamber, but for them they call it a torture house. For a safe house, I don't know where it was, but they separated us. Us three and another boy who was working for NRM. He said he was a Generation X. It's called Byarugaba. So we are 4. They put us in our room, and other people like Mayor Mute and the rest were put in another room. So when we reached there, they didn't beat us anymore. But the people they took in another room were beaten highly. They used to play loud music of Bobby Wine, some songs that are praised Kabaka. They would beat them. You would just hear loud music, loud strokes, and loud cries. So
are you on police bond? What was the process like for you to be released?
I was spent in that torture chamber around 6 hours. So like around 1, a commander came. I think it was the commander of the whole process. That now we are going to release you. Where do you stay? I told him I stay somewhere. Walukaga told him I stay somewhere. Also my brother Chiaga and the other boy. So they separated the boy and took him to the other camp. You know what happened next. Then they lifted us up and took us in a car. Then they dropped us in Chirudu. After actually 30 minutes of driving around. Remember that car, it had no seats. Again we stepped down and you would hear the hump high the back and you wouldn't speak anything. Because crying would make them beat you more, and even not crying would also make you beaten more. So that's what we experienced that day.
So when you got to Chirudu, did you go for treatment? How did you leave Chirudu?
Of course, I know them dropping us at Chirudu thought we are going to die maybe, according to the torture they did. Or they thought we needed urgent medical attention. But good enough, the most thing we wanted at that time was leaving their premises, being free. So when we reached Chirudu, we didn't know where it was. We just asked the border man, where are we? Chirudu. So we got a border. Walukaga gave us some money because they had taken over all our money we had. So we got a border. I and my brother, Honorable Chiaga, we went to Machinji. Because we had left our cars in Kazangola, so we wanted to go to Kazangola. So we got a border actually to take us to Kazangola, but had to pass in Machinji. When we reached Machinji Shell, we wanted to put in more fuel. That's why I saw I would say good Samaritan called Samwanga. He comes from Bukoma Simbi, a village called Inkarwe near my village, Shiriamemvu. So when he saw me, he said, Honorable, I've been hearing a lot about you today. Are you alive? Are you okay? So he got us in the car. Now the situation we are looking in, my brother, we are like thieves. The shots had blood, had the dust, and we are looking like people who have been away for like 100 years.
Honorable, we saw some pictures of you and Honorable Hilary Chiaga at Lubaga Hospital. I believe you got some treatment. Yeah. What was the report from the doctors? I can see physically you look okay.
Yeah, physically I can say I look okay in the places you can see, but most places I don't look okay. And I'm still getting some effects of the torture. The report for the doctor, at that time he said we are not injured inside, internally. We had no internal bleeding, so he said he will manage the wounds and bruises. But again, these hands, they are still swollen. The shoulders, where the pliers, they pinned and what, I also have those wounds. They are still on, and more. I have wounds in my heart which I think can't heal now.
Honorable, often victims of torture and such violence normally run to court to prosecute people who are behind these activities. Do you intend to go to court?
Of course, I'm writing a petition to take it to the Uganda Human Rights Commission. And I know with the advice of my party and lawyers, we shall see the next step. But as you know, these things have happened in Uganda for quite a long time. And few people have got justice. Because these things are done by people in power, people who think that this country is theirs, it's not ours, people like them. So I'm very sure we are just going to put them on record. We are tortured, we are done what? Because in the future they don't say that what shows that you did it, or we did this to you. But I don't expect any justice from them, because what they did was more injustice than what I expect to get there.
The events that happened in Kawempe North by-elections, most people and most critics of this government seem to suggest that these are just indicators of what is likely to happen in 2026 general elections. What is your observation and what is your take?
I thank God that we got this by-election, though it wasn't okay to lose a comrade. But this by-election has exposed this government. It has shown how intimidated they are. It has shown how unready they are for any peaceful transition. It has shown them that they fear anything that comes across them. The power, the army, the money they have poured in Kawempe is uncalled for at this time. You see, this election was taken over by security agencies. That's why you see that from day one, our candidate was beaten, was arrested, and other people were arrested. At our first rally in Kawempe, you see what happened when the judge people came. They beat everyone around. They arrested the people. The ladies broke their back, and other things that happened. So we are glad that we at finally won that election. So that has given us also a new approach to 2026. People have to participate fully in the elections, not just to come, vote, and go home. Because if people are determined, you can get that win, as we did in Kawempe. So all the events that happened in Kawempe, they have prepared us more for 2026. And if Museveni and his government doesn't change the tactic they used in Kawempe, this will be a sparking point to change this government, I'm telling you.
Honorable, you've said security agents took over the elections. Then what was the role of the Electoral Commission in these elections? Because the EC is supposed to man and is mandated to take charge of elections. And when you allege that security agencies took over the mandate of the EC, then what were they doing?
You see, most times, I feel sorry for Electoral Commission. They try hard to see that they work their job thoroughly, but they don't have that power. The law gives them power, but in actual sense, they don't have that power. That's why you see the returning officer for Kawempe was almost crying every time I was reading those results. He was under pressure. They wanted him to do something which they had failed to do in the field. Because in Kazangola, my polling station, my parish where I was, Kazangola polling stations were all kicked. After seeing that NRM had got very few votes, they kicked the boxes to make sure those results don't go on record. So the Electoral Commission is also, I can say, is also on trial, because they have a mandate to handle these elections in a free and a fair way. But so the army is taking over their role. So now what do this? Should Mr. Byamukama resign? I think that would be the best way, because you can't work under that tension and pressure. You saw what happened. Even the presiding officers at some polling stations were beaten. No one was safe that day. So Electoral Commission was taken over by the army.
Honorable, the party that came second, that is the NRM and their candidate Farida Nambi, during a Central Executive Committee meeting of the top of the party leadership, the president, who is also the chairperson of the NRM, has said they are going to court to challenge the outcomes of the elections. As NUP, are you ready to go to court and defend your candidate?
I think what they want to challenge is that after doing all the nasty things we did, how come we didn't win the votes, that election? That's what they want to challenge. Because they are sure they used excessive power, they used a lot of money, but they didn't win the election. So they should come out straight and clear and tell us that we are going to court to petition, because whatever we did didn't help us. But they know that they wouldn't win their election, that election. One. Secondly, who did all the malpractices they did? It was them. It was the army. It was the judge. Those people. And actually, I'm not surprised with Mr. Museveni as the chairman of the NRM party, because he's an old man. Some things he can't remember. You see, I used to live with my judge. I would take over all his decisions that day whenever I was close to him. He wouldn't find time to go and make research. If Mr. Museveni really had a good intelligence system, he would, at this time, would have taken to prison like hundreds and hundreds of officers, hundreds and hundreds of those people that commanded that. But him saying that now, nope, so my vote, it's an effect, I don't know. It's a very big negative effect to our country.
That is the Member of Parliament representing Bokoma Simbi on behalf of NUP. That has been the conversation on the ground. I am Juma Kiria, back to studios, Chris.
Juma Kiria for bringing us up to speed with one of the victims of the violence that was meted on citizens, including journalists for that matter. And on that note, we continue to